timer. 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
so
the
the other
second
one's,
timer.
okay, so when the other one goes off,
Just
we'll
shut
see
it
more,
off, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I was like going above and beyond at school, at work, and doing things I didn't need to do. So I was planning groups, I was coming up with groups, I was facilitating group sessions, and I was helping the clinicians at work with their treatment plan. And technically speaking, none of that's in my job description. I was just doing it. I was creating cleaning lists and cleaning charts and different ways of improving the entirety of our unit and how we function with our kids, and making improvements for staff and their supervision and how we process with them about the difficult things that we deal with at work. And I guess that's part of the reason why they promoted me to lead so quickly. I became a shift supervisor 2 months into the job.
Okay.
Over people that had been there for 3-4 years. And I guess that initiative helped, but in the same token, now it's I've been there for almost 2 years this December, and it's I have no will or drive to do any of that anymore, just because it's this job, not the job so much as the administration. They're just very difficult to work for, and I've come to realize that I was overworking myself, not just because I like the job, but because my relationships with the people there were so good that it's just, I didn't mind being there in my free time. And now it's I've had to take that step back and really think is it really worth it to work so much that it is having a negative impact on me, and my ability to get through the things that I need to get through. So it's I'm the exact opposite of how I was last year. Now I just really just want to work my 40 hours and nothing more. I don't.
And how do you feel about that?
I'm enjoying not having to go to work, honestly.
Okay.
This last week at work has been, since I got back from visiting family, has been really taxing. I have a difficult group of kids, and I have kids with a lot of trauma currently, 2 kids specifically with sexualized trauma, and they're under the age of 10. And I had to go and have a conversation with the director of the program about why they don't have any means of helping their staff process these things. I've been in the field for a while, and I have been around similar issues in my personal life. So it's it doesn't, I feel it doesn't take as much of a toll on me as it initially did. Whereas I have new staff who I had to give them information regarding a specific kid, hey, if he comes to talk to, this is why and this is how we're going to handle it. And they broke down. One of my staff literally broke down hearing that this happened to a child. And, it made me realize there's no way of, there's no current resources for our staff to really talk to somebody about what is happening and what they're dealing with and hearing on the unit. So it's me and my boss got into a bit of an argument about it. So I'm really happy to not be at work when I'm not at work. I don't know. I think.
So tell me a little bit about that. When you went to talk to your boss about it, how did that go, or what did that look like?
So the night before, I had a kid had pulled me aside and had a conversation with me about something that he had overheard while he was on his pass, and it was pretty traumatic stuff for a 10-year-old to hear happen to somebody that they know. So he had a really, really difficult time processing that. He didn't want to speak to a clinician or anything like that. He wanted to speak to me specifically. So I had that conversation with him or whatever, and I had to take some space afterwards because it was just it was difficult. It was a difficult conversation to have. So then I had to go and process with my staff hey, this kid needs this tonight. This is, if he's having a difficult time, it's because of this. And then to have one of my male staff, he literally broke down and started crying. To have to, technically speaking, it's not my place, but I'm the only person on the floor between 5 and 11 p.m.
Okay.
So I'm the supervisor on the floor. So I'm the only person that they really have to process with, unless they wanted to go to emergency services right next door. And we're we have a very odd relationship with emergency services and their lack of interest in anything that happens on our unit. I was the one that had to process with them. So I went and told my boss all of this the next day when I came in at 3. And I explained to her, like, I get it, like, I'm the shift supervisor and, like, I'm the only person on unit at that time, and that, yes, we do technically have access to emergency services, but where they're very difficult to get a hold of, like, I think that you guys should make it a point throughout the week to, whether it's you or one of our 2 clinicians on site, to really sit down with your staff and have that conversation with them about, like, the things that we hear and see and, deal with in general while on the floor. And she was just like, I get that, but, like, you're the shift supervisor, you should be the one having that conversation with your staff. And I was like, and while I can handle the situation in that very moment, I think that somebody with somebody who's more suited for that level of supervision should be facilitating that conversation. Like, I don't think I'm qualified currently to do that. Like, I'm currently in training to be a licensed mental health counselor, but I'm in training. Like, I don't personally think that I am currently qualified to help somebody through that. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing it, and I really would prefer to not do it. And she was just, well, then what are supervisors for? And I was just, well, you're my supervisor, and you don't supervise me. Like, we don't have these supervisions. You don't make any point in a week, 2 weeks, a month to sit down and just, like, hey, like, how are things going on the floor? Like, I was like, I think that that's part of the reason why we have such a revolving door of staff coming and going. The burnout rate is really fast at CBEC. I think partially because of this. Like, it's a difficult job. And while the pay is decent, like, I personally don't think it's enough for anybody to sit there and take that, like, in and out day after day after day. Like, and she wasn't interested in what I had to say, and I think she could tell I was getting frustrated, so I was just like, all right, what did we say goes, and I left. So the assistant director, I have a better relationship with, came and, like, pulled me aside after the director left, and she was like, so I think that, like, and she took it personally, and, like, she might have misunderstood, like, your intentions, and she thought that maybe you were saying that she wasn't doing her job. And I was like, that wasn't what I was saying. I think that there needs to be more than what is currently being done. Like, yes, we have staff meetings. Yes, we have lead meetings, but we don't get the individual supervision that the clinicians get. Like, the clinicians meet once a week for an hour with the site director, and they talk about their cases and stuff like that. And while we're not doing clinical work, we still see, hear, and deal with a lot of the things that are similar to what the clinicians are dealing with. So it's like, I don't understand why we're not getting that same level of supervision. So the assistant director is supposed to be working on it, but that was just a really, really annoying day.
And so what happens after a day like that then? What? How do you kind of deal with the stress of the day, or you talked about it being a difficult... Alexa, turn off the timer. No, it should be. I think we still have. Alexa, turn off the timer.
Okay.
Yeah, so then the other one will go. That's the 14-minute.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah. So, like, my go-to person, like, I talk to my best friend a lot. I do. But he's dealing with a lot right now. Like, his mom, she's been out of work for a year. She had surgery in her back like 3 times, and she just recently, her leg went numb one day, and she just fell and broke her ankle. So he's, like, dealing with a lot at home right now with, like, they're having financial troubles. And there's just a lot going on for him right now. So I don't like to, like, unload all of my stuff on him. Like, I try to avoid it as much as I can just because, like, he has a lot to deal with. So, like, my go-to person is pretty much my mom. Like, that's, like, pretty much, like, my best friend. Like, we talk to each other about literally everything. So, like, after a long day, I still live at home. Like, sometimes I'll call her up on my way home and be like, hey, do you want to go for a drive? Yep. Or, like, she'll call me, like, hey, are you on your way home yet? Like, we could take a drive or whatever. Or she'll, like, come and sit downstairs in my little, I I guess studio, whatever you want to call it, and we'll just vent, have a glass of wine and vent or something like that.
Okay.
So,
Alexa, turn off the timer.
I think that specific day, like, we took a drive and I just kind of ranted
So-
for a very long time.
So one of the things, hang on.